It was 3:17 a.m. when the phone rang. At first, she thought it was a dream, another trick of her restless mind. The room was bathed in a pale, flickering light, the kind that made the cracks on the ceiling look like veins spreading across the plaster. She didn't move. Her heart raced, pounding against her chest like it wanted to escape. The screen glowed. Unknown caller. She pressed her lips together and waited. Silence. The only sound was the hum of the refrigerator in the corner and the distant bark of a dog somewhere outside. She hadn't slept. Not really. Every time her eyes closed, she heard the ringing echo inside her skull, an insistent drone that refused to let her rest. Her hand trembled as it reached for the phone. She swiped to answer, but the call ended before she could. The screen returned to darkness, the silence now heavier, almost suffocating. A sudden noise made her jump. A soft creak from the hallway outside her bedroom. She told herself it was the house settling, but the doubt lingered. She could feel the tension creeping along her spine, whispering that something was wrong. Then it rang again. Las 3:23 de la mañana, unknown caller. This time, she didn't flinch. She stared at it, her back pressed to the wall, knees pulled to her chest. The ringtone seemed louder in the quiet, sharper, cutting through the shadows. Se pick it up. No voice, just breathing. Heavy, deliberate, almost mocking. Her pulse throbbed in her ears. "Hello," she whispered, her voice barely audible. A click. The line went dead. She sank to the floor, shivering. Outside, the wind rattled the window panes, and the moonlight cast ghostly patterns across the room. The phone remained still. She tried to convince herself it was a prank, someone playing a cruel joke, but deep down, she knew it wasn't. Hours passed. Morning light finally crept through the blinds, but the unease didn't fade. The memory of that breathing, cold and suffocating, stayed with her. She checked the call log. Nothing. No number. No trace. Just unknown caller. She started noticing things. Small things. Shadows in the corner of her eye. Objects slightly out of place. Whispers she couldn't quite hear. And the phone, always near me, ready to ring. The first call had already broken something in her. It had opened a door she didn't know existed. A door leading to something she feared to name. And she was certain the next call was coming. And when it did, nothing would ever be the same. Days passed, but the fear didn't fade. Every sound made her flinch. The tap dripping in the bathroom, the wind scratching against the windows, the distant hum of traffic outside. The calls had stopped for now, but she could feel the presence lingering, just beyond sight. It was Thursday night when it happened. She was curled up on the couch, trying to distract herself with a book, but the words swam before her eyes. A soft creak echoed from the hallway. She froze. The hallway was dark, the dim moonlight spilling across the floorboards. She wasn't supposed to be alone. Her roommate had gone to visit family, and she had insisted on staying behind, thinking it would be safer in her own space. She had been wrong. A shadow flickered, just a glimpse, but enough. Her heart slammed against her ribs, and she wanted to scream, but no sound came out. The shadow moved again, slower this time, deliberate, as if aware she was watching. Her phone buzzed on the coffee table. She reached for it, hands shaking, and saw the screen light up. Unknown caller. She didn't answer. Instead, she watched as the shadow seemed to inch closer. The air grew colder, heavier, almost tangible. Her breath formed clouds in front of her face. and she realized the room had gone utterly silent. The kind of silence that presses against your ears until you can hear your own heartbeat. Then she heard it, a whisper, soft and low, almost human, almost familiar. "Why are you here?" Her stomach dropped. She wanted to run, but her legs felt paralyzed. The shadow stretched along the hallway wall, thin and distorted, its edges flickering like candlelight in a storm. She grabbed the phone again, this time dialing 911, but the line was dead. No dial tone, nothing. Panic surged through her, but she forced herself to stay calm. She remembered the old study about fear. Sometimes it grows bigger in the imagination, but this wasn't the imagination. The shadow halted at the edge of the living room, just beyond the reach of the moonlight. It seemed to study her, patient, waiting. Then it moved faster, flickering like static, closer and closer. She bolted, stumbling over the coffee table, heart hammering. She slammed the bedroom door, locking it, pressing her back against it. She could feel it on the other side, a presence that seemed to breathe along with her. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown caller. She picked up, shaking. This time, a voice came through, distorted, dripping with malice. "You shouldn't have stayed." The lights flickered. The air grew thick, almost choking. The shadow slammed against the door, a heavy thud that rattled the frame. Something was trying to get in. She ran to the window, pulling the curtains aside. Outside, the street was empty. No one. Nothing. Yet she could feel it closer now, pressing against the walls, against her sanity. She realized then, with a cold, sinking certainty, that the calls were just the beginning. The apartment no longer felt like a place. It felt like a waiting room. She sat on the edge of the bed, fully dressed, lights on, phone in her hand. She hadn't slept in over 30 hours. Every sound had meaning now. Every shadow felt intentional. At las 3:17 de la mañana, the phone rang. She didn't look at the screen. She didn't need to. Her body reacted before her mind could, heart racing, throat tightening, breath shallow. The ringing didn't stop. It wasn't loud. It was patient. Sean, suelth, silence, puloer, silence. Then breathing, slow, controlled. "Close." "I know," she said quietly, surprising herself. "You're here." The breathing paused. For the first time, it felt like the thing on the other end was listening. The temperature dropped. The lights flickered once, 10 steadied. The hallway outside her room darkened, shadows stretching unnaturally along the walls, bending toward her door like fingers. "You followed me," she whispered. The voice came softly, layered, as if several mouths were speaking at once. "You invited me." Her chest tightened. Memories flooded back, nights, staring at her phone, waiting for it to ring. The comfort she felt knowing someone was there, even if they never spoke. The loneliness she never admitted. The silence she feared more than anything. The shadow spilled into the room, not rushing, not creeping, simply arriving. It had no fixed shape now. It borrowed pieces of the room, the darkness under the bed, the space behind the curtains, the hollow air near the ceiling. "You needed me," the voice said. I answered. Her phone buzzed again. A video call. Hands shaking. She accepted it. The screen showed her bedroom from the corner near the ceiling. She was visible on the screen, sitting on the bed, staring down at the phone. but the version of her on the screen slowly lifted her head and smiled. "That's not me," she said. The shadow wrapped around her ankles, cold and heavy. "It is what remains." The reflection on the screen stood up. Its movements were slightly wrong, delayed, like bad signal. It walked closer to the camera until its face filled the screen. Her face. But the eyes were empty. The lights went out. When they came back on, she was standing in the hallway. The apartment looked normal. Quiet. Still. Her phone rested in her hand. Dark and silent. Relief washed over her. It was over. Then she heard the ringing from inside the bedroom. She turned slowly. The door was closed. The ringing stopped. Her phone lit up. Unknown caller. She didn't answer. The phone rang again. Somewhere inside the apartment, something smiled. She had hoped it was over, but silence has a way of lingering, waiting. At 3:17 a.m., the phone buzzed again. Unknown caller. Her hands didn't shake anymore. Say and swear. Nothing. Just the cold, steady hum of a voice breathing through the line. "You thought you could hide," it whispered. The walls of the apartment seemed to shift. Shadows stretched unnaturally, bending toward her. The air felt heavier, thick with presence. She wanted to scream, but no sound came. Her reflection appeared in the dark TV screen, pale, hollow-eyed. She raised her hand, but the reflection lagged. Then it smiled. "You didn't leave," she whispered. "If you had, it would have stopped." The voice answered softly, layered like several speaking at once. "I don't stop. You keep me alive." The phone vibrated again. She flipped it over. The screen lit up her face, staring back, wide-eyed and terrified. Behind her reflection, shadows moved, reaching, twisting. She realized with horror, the calls weren't random. They needed her. They fed on the fear she carried, on the obsession with the ringing. Every unanswered call would weaken her. Every answered one strengthened it. She wanted to hang up. She wanted to throw the phone across the room and run, but the shadow pressed closer in her peripheral vision, coiling along the walls. "And this," the voice said softly, "or you fade." Her finger hovered over the red button. The hum in the apartment deepened. The shadow was patient, waiting, stretching, its tendrils brushing the ceiling. She pressed it. The screen went black. Silence. Absolute. The apartment felt empty, impossibly still. She waited for a sound, a creak, a whisper, but nothing came. The next morning, the apartment seemed normal, peaceful, too peaceful. Weeks later, a new tenant moved in. Quiet type, hated being alone. At las 3:17 de la mañana, the phone rang. Unknown caller. Answer. Somewhere, deep inside the walls, something breathed, and the silence learned to speak again.